Did you screw up and buy the wrong fermenter? Are you living in shame now? Are you new to homebrewing and wanted to be one of the boys, so you blew a whole paycheck on a fermenter just because you thought it would make you look cool on Instagram, but now you hate yourself even more?
I've been there, Braj.
Well, if so, then look no further than this video. You've come to the right spot. I've been around the block. I've seen the times change. I've seen the gimmicks come and go. I've hooked up with even more dudes than it's even possible to imagine, and today we're talking about what fermenter you need to buy in 2023. And I hit up some Brajes to see what they were using, and I created a poll that got over 1,000 votes that we'll check out at the end. But what makes a great fermenter? Well, there's multiple factors. Longevity, meaning does it break easily or will it last a lifetime? Is it easy to clean? Does it require a bunch of expensive add-on accessories? Is it dangerous? How mobile is it? Can you pick it up and move it around easily? How much room does it take up in your keezer or kegerator? And how much can it hold? 5, 10, or even 20 plus gallons? But the biggest factor will always come down to the price. See, fermenters control the homebrewing market, even more so than the system itself. Deciding which fermenter to buy is one of the more popular topics in homebrewing, if not the most popular topic. Martin from the Homebrew Challenge made a great blind taste test video on a batch brewed with a cheap plastic fermenter versus an expensive stainless steel fermenter and wanted to know if people could tell the difference. But we'll come back to Martin's video in a second. And you might be thinking, hey CH, didn't you already make this video on fermenters? Yes, I did, but that was almost 3 years ago and the game's changed since then. See, when I first got into homebrewing, everybody used glass carboys and plastic fermenters were frowned upon. Sources would say that plastic scratches and bacteria could harbor in those scratches, but that never ever made sense to me. A, just don't scratch your plastic fermenters, and B, even if they did scratch, who cares? Water and Star San solution can still get in there, so what the hell is everybody talking about? Then I'd see commercial brewers use plastic fermenters for pilot batches, and I instantly stopped brewing with glass. That was it for me. It was plastic from then on. Now, I absolutely hate glass for every reason you can imagine. They are a nightmare to clean. They're $50. They don't have a spigot, so you have to siphon. You need to buy another brush so it fits in the mouth. You've got to buy this janky strap thing that sucks. It's a hassle to take a gravity reading, but most importantly, it's glass. It's dangerous as hell. Sooner or later, they break, and there's really bad stories involved with broken glass. Just read the comment section in this video. But a lot of OG homebrewers like glass, especially when it comes to aging stuff like wine or barley wine or meads. I do not recommend glass fermenters for new brewers, but if you've been around the block and you like fermenting in glass, then hey, live your life. So when I made my first fermenter video, there was this new surge in the market with affordable stainless steel homebrewing fermenters like the Anvil bucket and the SS Brewtex bucket, and both of which have very solid reputations in the homebrewing community. I had an Anvil bucket and I absolutely loved it, and it was almost $100 cheaper than the SS Brewtex bucket. But even though I had this new affordable stainless steel fermenter, I still really enjoyed brewing in plastic buckets. But not only that, I'd make my own. They were really expensive online, so I'd make my own for about $8, assuming you had the correct drill bits. I'd snag an FDA food grade bucket from Home Depot for $4. I'd drill a pilot hole and then smooth the hole out with a step drill bit, buy these super cheap spigots off Amazon, cut the bottoms off to make it flush, and I'd do the same thing to the lid and add an airlock. Amazon links in the description for these spigots. And I also had a 15-gallon Speitel that I used from time to time, but honestly, I regret buying it. I bought it for 10-gallon batches, but I don't do 10-gallon batches anymore, and even if I did, I'd just throw them in 2 5-gallon fermenters. I think I paid $130 for this fermenter, and it was pretty janky and just way too expensive for plastic. And then the game changed a couple of years ago. It was all about fermenting under pressure and transferring without exposing your beer to oxygen. And in the beginning, I didn't care about fermenting under pressure because we drank the beer so fast. Back in San Diego, there was always people over, and a lot of the times we'd kill the entire 5-gallon batch in the same day. Hazy sours, West Coast IPAs, even hard seltzers didn't stand a chance. It was pretty rare for a beer to sit, and I never shipped my homebrew or entered any competition, so I had no interest on preserving the longevity of the freshness. But then I moved from San Diego to Knoxville, where I have no friends. And I'm not complaining about not having any friends. It's actually pretty awesome and peaceful. I just feed these 2 stray cats all day. This is Babe Ruth, and this is Hank Aaron. But out here, I really started thinking about preserving my beer better, since it's gonna sit for a month or 2 now, or maybe even longer. And what changed was this thing right here, the spunding valve. Kind of opposite of a regulator. See, a regulator determines how much gas is allowed in a serving tank, but a spunding valve regulates how much gas gets released. So a spunding valve is a must-have to fermenting under pressure, and fermenting under pressure allows you to have quick quicker carbonated beer, no exposure to oxygen, but most importantly, being able to ferment at high temperatures without producing off flavors. It makes temperature control a lot stressful to deal with. See, temperature control used to have stricter guidelines and was taken very serious since your beers were only as good as how happy your yeast was. And Kvike yeast got popular and allowed a wider range of temperature, but without Kvike, you really had to focus on temperature control. And even with those nice $500 and up fermenters, there was always still manual labor involved. I used to fill up my bathtub with either hot water or fill it up with ice, depending on which yeast strain. But if you have a roommate or a significant other, they're gonna hate you more than you will ever know. Or I'd wait to do my kettle sours in San Diego when the temperature would be in the 90s. But the best way for temperature control is just to put your fermenter in a fridge or a kegerator and connect it to an Inkbird. Inkbird is the greatest invention of all time. But what if you only have one keezer and you've got beers on taps? You need to start thinking outside the Xbox. And you need that coil that fits your specific fermenter, along with a submersible pump and some hoses and clamps. And if I wanted to chill, I'd fill up a lettuce cabinet full of ice, drop it into a giant cooler until fermentation was complete. Sure, this method worked, but it required a lot more labor. And if I wanted to heat something up, I'd use one of my electric systems, fill it up with water, set it to 90 or whatever, and then run it to a fermenter. But a cheaper option of doing this is sniffing out an affordable commercial coffee maker on Amazon that's big enough for this to work. You plug it in and then you have another Inkbird or temperature control set to that. It definitely used to work, but it was a hassle. So spunding valves made life easier for a ton of different yeast strains. But maybe you can't afford a fermenter that can control pressure. Or maybe you had one underneath your nose this whole time. I love fermenting in corny kegs, and they take up much less room in the fridge than some of these plastic fermenters. Just ferment in a corny keg, connect a spunding valve to 15 psi, and when it's done fermenting, you're good to go. Unless you want to transfer it to another sanitized corny keg so you can add gelatin or some fruit or something. But corny kegs are not free. You might just already have some laying around. Outside of corny kegs, I'd say the most popular vessel that can ferment under pressure is the FermZilla All-Rounder. I've talked to a lot of people who love them. It's definitely affordable, very easy to clean, and people love fermenting in plastic these days. Clawhammer Supply has something on the horizon, and let's just say something is brewing and it's not Folgers. But let's check out our poll with over 1,000 votes and see what people had to say, and boom, 42% chose plastic fermenters, and 22% said FermZilla. And in Martin's video, the people guessing the better beer, well, that was the one fermented in plastic. So what's your go-to fermenter? What do you guys think? And I've always said you can learn more from a YouTube video's comment section than the YouTube video itself. What do you like? What do you not like? What's your biggest regret? What's your best buy? And it's my birthday. If you're watching this on January 4th, I'm 38 today, but if anybody asks, I'm 29. So I better see you on the stream tonight. Cheers.